play with your food.
You are listening to The Review on the OSG Sports Podcasting Network.
Welcome to another round of The Review, the OSG Sports college football version of Stuff. That's the official title. John here in Atlanta. Marty's at OSG SW in Dallas. He's hanging out trying to figure out how to get into Jerry World. Maybe we could boo at Johnny Infantino. That's the other network, by the way. That's SDH. We're going to talk.
That's called a tease for those at home.
It's a tease. We're going to talk the week that was, get you ready for the week that will be, and something cool that we started last week. We'll finish the show with. It is college football on a budget. If you wanted to go catch a game, there are some get-in prices that are even better than the price of the actual soda that you might be paying for. So we'll get into that. And also in running the anchor leg this week, it's a really cool interview that we're going to catch up with JT Crabtree, the voice of South Alabama, because they did some business in Stillwater, Oklahoma, and handled Oklahoma State. So we're going to catch up with JT running the anchor leg this week and catch up with him about the win and what it means to South Alabama, what it means to go Fives, and what it might mean to Oklahoma State. So we'll get into all that fun stuff there. The week that was, this is what the A block is for, the week that was. So now that you've had a couple days to think about the weekend and the week that was, Marty, what's on your mind from about 30,000 feet?
Okay, the one thing I got to mention first, as I'm wrapping with my shirt today, where I graduated from Youngstown State.
Attaboy.
They took a paycheck beating last week. And at the hands of Ohio State, but looked solid. They learned a couple lessons, and they came back strong this week. 595 yards of offense, ran for 6 touchdowns. Yeah, I'd call that a bounce back from the Ohio State game, and it's a good way to head into the Missouri Valley League play.
There you go.
So shout out to my Penguins.
You do. Top 25s, kind of as a rule, they got stuff to work on, and it's a point that that we've been making here, that they don't care what we think. And Georgia had to come from behind to beat South Carolina. You look at the other top 25s and like the teams that are higher up. Michigan cruised. They put 31 on the board the first 3 quarters, and Bowling Green scored in the second quarter. They won by 25. Texas beat Wyoming. It took them a little while to wake up, but fourth quarter they finally put their food down.
And that's actually good enough to get them to move up in the AP poll.
Yes, and so Texas gets the Duke, 21-point fourth quarter, beating Wyoming. They won 31-10. Your Buckeyes did not play with their food, put 42 on the board. It was 42-10 at the break. They beat the Chigger and everybody at Western Kentucky, putting 63 on the board. Penn State, they were kind of just cruising, doing their thing, and they won 30-13. Wazoo had no problem with Michigan State. Michigan State's got problems of their own, 41-7, and it was not even that close. Notre Dame and the Chippewas. Alabama, everybody's kind of sitting there going, I don't know.
Are they doing like some of the other teams where they're treating this as a controlled scrimmage, where they're like, I just want to work on running plays to the left side, so we're just not going to game plan for these people. We're going to work on stuff we want to work on. Or are they coming back down to reality? Not reality, but coming back down towards the middle of the SEC, if there is a middle of the SEC.
I think the latter's correct for you. I think so. I mean, because there was apparently a players-only team meeting. When was the last time you heard about that in Tuscaloosa?
Probably before they hired
David. Yeah. So they only beat South Florida 17-3. It's 3-3 at the break. And there was even a long weather delay because, it's Tampa and it's the summer. So who knew? Utah, no problems. Oregon, no problems. LSU, no problems, because Mississippi State is trying to sit there and shoehorn a different offense into a Mike Leach recruited player roster.
Never easy.
No. And then, Oregon State gets the win at home. Ole Miss put 48 on Georgia Tech. So, there were some moments where some folks were kind of playing with their food. There were some other moments we'll talk about in a bit where folks were not playing with their food and they were there to take care of stuff.
Things.
things. I mean, if you get into Florida State and BC, all right, I'll go ahead and talk about this one because that's my school. Florida State, not BC. 24.5 was the easiest play on the board because I'll tell you why. It was Chestnut Hill, it was Hurricane Lee,
Ooh.
and it was the red bandana game. So all of those things combining, Florida State always has problems when they go to Chestnut Hill. Traditionally, it's the game that's like late in the year, like in November or something, and it's like 12 below zero, and Florida players have never felt that cold, and they just want to get out of town. It was 31-10, and I'm like, no, hang on. Finished up 31-29. So Thomas Castellanos, the pride of Ware County High School, threw for 305, 1-1, and also ran for 90.
Yeah, I wonder if the uniform selection for that game was leading to some confusion. Because when I first tuned that in, I'm looking at the white helmets, and then I was kind of confused at first. Usually when you get that extra lid on, it looks good, but I'm not a fan.
Marketing dollars. I'm not a fan either. And I think that what you also ended up with was you were tempting the gods by trying to come up with new marketing and merchandising ideas and trying to look like BC. But Wells Crowther, Welles Crowther, Crowther. That's your Google search for today, kids. That's why they had the red bandana game. Florida. Tennessee always has problems in Florida. Florida scored 26 in the first half, and that was done and dusted. 29-16 final there. Missouri. We like our thicker kickers. We just do.
You always like seeing a fat guy score.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter what line of scrimmage or what phase of play it is. It was supposed to be a 56-yard field goal. Then you get a delay of game penalty.
I think he just wanted a larger challenge.
Are you going to put a rim shot in here when you edit the show? Is that what you're?
I think I might
do that.
We had one other good big man scorer too with Ohio State.
Hot keys.
There was a fumble in the end zone and balls squirting around all over the place, and a certain D tackle decided I've had enough of this, and he just went in and snatched the ball. The announcers are going, well, we're not sure who has it, and all of a sudden you see his large man pop up and just hold it up and then run to the sidelines, and then he proceeded to do the best fat man score dance that you've seen all weekend.
Jumbo. And so that was pleasant. So, but yeah, thicker kicker nails it from 61, and Missouri beats K-State. So Missouri might be piquing some folks' interest when it comes to the mid-pack of the SEC. The other one, Colorado State, and I know you have some thoughts.
Okay, I get it. Between trying to sell sunglasses and manufacture stories, it's just, I'm getting sick of the story. Call me back in 2 weeks after they play these next two games against real teams, like whole teams. And now, they're going to, I feel bad for there's a lot of cheap shots going on in this game in both directions. I mean, you have that horrible cheap shot at, their top non-family player on the field.
Travis Hunter, out for 3 weeks now.
Yeah, that was unfortunate and terrible. But going back, they try to poke somebody in the eye. That's rough too. It's just, we're going to see what their depth is like. And the other thing to bring up is, with all that fighting going on both ways, I'm starting to wonder if the teams that are playing them in the future are going to bait them into stuff. Because, you don't really you have a bunch of mercenaries. And so you don't really have a long established team culture, because the longest tenured person on that team hands out jerseys and maybe cleans the building. Everybody else is just a mercenary. So you get a little test of what that team chemistry and what Dion's built there. But, I'm getting a little tired of it just being all hype. I just want to see a game.
Yeah. Next 2 weeks, it's Oregon and USC. I will maintain that by the end of the season, Colorado will be 7-5, 8-4, and it will be a fantastic turnaround.
And that is a great job by that coach.
And full disclosure, the boss and I know 3 coaches on that staff. I went to school with one of them and covered him when we were in school together. Then one I know from his time in Georgia high school football, and the boss grew up with the third one. literally same hometown. So we know 3 on that staff.
So you
And
got tickets to that bowl game, whatever it is.
probably. And I will say this. What you have with Dion, and the thing is that I can differentiate because of the time that I've spent covering him and, whatever. I can differentiate between Deion Sanders and primetime. What you get on television is Prime. You get Coach Prime on TV. They are being coached by Deion Sanders. I can make that differentiation. Everybody sees Coach Prime because of all the cameras and social media and everything. There are different individuals that are there. You have, for what you see with all the sunglasses, all the promotion, all the shirts, all this kind of stuff, you have a very old school coaching staff. Defensive coordinator has been through the rigors in the SEC, multiple schools. He knows what's going on. That is an old school defensive coach that you have that's leading the charge there on defense. So I know what I'm seeing here, and I would hope that understanding what's being coached by the end of the season, a 7-5, 8-14, fantastic turnaround. It's because of that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Coach. And I know that we're going to get inundated with all of the stuff. I mean, the 60 Minutes interview that happened this past week. So, and going in, yes, you're going to get Prime, and you're going to be coached by Dion and a very old school staff that is a part of this turnaround. And I think also what you're staring at is a way to do things that not a lot of coaches or universities are willing to dive themselves into. Understanding, what is it, more than 50, almost 60 folks coming in through the portal and ins and outs and all that kind of stuff. It is certainly a way to go about things because it reminds us all athletic scholarships are 1-year deals. They are 1-year deals. And if you can find the best so-and-so and bring him in, and everybody wants to become a part of something, that's what you're seeing. It is certainly a new way of doing it in this day and age, and you're seeing it in Colorado. That's not going to be everybody's taste about how they want to do things, but Colorado is doing it a way. We'll see if it replicates itself. I don't think it does. I think that, it's going to take a rare individual to replicate what Colorado is doing to make sure to try to turn a program around. Like I said, that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, and you got to see if that's going to be sustainable. You needed a big initial start there just to get things rolling, but that's not a way you can live. You got to get a healthy balance. And I understand what you're saying, the difference between the coach and the character. It's just I'm getting too much of the character and not getting enough of the coach.
But is the coach going to get clicks and get attention and draw attention to itself, or is the character and the TV show and all of the appearances when the red light comes on, is that what's going to draw you in, or is the coaching going to draw?
I want to see the coach and the core of that team, what they're really about, not just an ad for sunglasses or an ad for the bookstore t-shirts that are new this week based on a slight, whether real or imagined. It's a lot. Get off my lawn.
Free overload. A couple of other games before we bring in JT Crabtree in the B block to talk about things South Alabama, and that'll be the focus of the B. BYU goes to Arkansas, gets the win, and Wilkie was profoundly frustrated about how the offensive coordinator was trying to use KJ Jefferson as a passer when that's not what he really is. He's a multi-talented athlete. He can tuck and run. Threw for 247, 1-1, but Keaton Slovis of Southern Cal fame, now at BYU. They get the win, late touchdown, 38-31 final there. Sacramento State beat Stanford.
ACC power.
Yes, ACC power Stanford. So obviously that means that Tiger Woods is an ACC legend now. Is that how this works?
That's how it's going to go. I can't wait to see the ACC channel retrospective on their classics editions.
Absolutely. Stanford now 1-2, loses at home to Sac State. Sac State, their head coach to Stanford. Sac State promotes their DC to be the new head coach. So the number 2 beat the number at the new number one's the number one's new location. So you had that going on late.
The number 2 beat the number 2 out of the number 1.
Well, yeah.
Kind of looks like he might have left a playbook behind.
Back. So then backyard brawl actually happened. Neil Brown, probably to the chagrin of a lot of folks in West Virginia, probably kept his job because he beat Pitt 17-6. And
No offense. Last time Youngstown State played Pitt, they beat them. So it's not a great litmus test.
no, that is not. That is not a great litmus test. So you've got that, and you have all of the other things that are progressing and proceeding. When you have a lot of games going on, and it's just it's madness, but that's the beautiful part of this time of the year. Memphis and Navy. What is this with this? Before we go to break, what's this with the service academies running trick plays and doing things that are unservice academy like and having success? I love it. Don't get me wrong. It's just weird to see like Army with a halfback pass.
It's a great equalizer. Everybody's expecting a cut block, so they're kind of bearing down and they're not ready to pop outside to cover something like that. It's brilliant.
I don't want to know about people popping outside. I don't. That's kind of scary to me. Yes. So that's the week that was. When we come back, JT Crabtree, the voice of South Alabama, will be with us, and we'll discuss what happened with probably the game of the week. South Alabama goes to Stillwater and beat the out of the Cowboys. Pistols were not firing. Except for South Alabama. So JT Crabtree, the voice for South Alabama, coming up around the other side of the break. He's running the anchor leg this week to talk USA and Oklahoma State. And then after that interview, Marty and I come back, preview the week that will be, and college football on a budget. We'll look at get-in prices and see about games that you really could get into for economical ways. You're probably paying more to park and probably paying more to eat than you would be to get in to see these games. So that is what's going on here on the review. He's Marty. I'm John. This is the OSG Sports Network. We're talking college football. JT Crabtree around the corner. Stick and stay. We'll be right back.
Please like and subscribe.
Over here in the OSG Sports side of things, we talk football. Football. College football version here with the college football review every single week. But for those of you that like not just football with two O's, but football with a U, Futbol, there's the Soccer Down Here Network. I'm John Nelson. I host the morning show on Soccer Down Here along with Jarrett Smith, Nick Alifi, Jason Longshore. And if you're looking for the best information when it comes to the world of soccer, based in the southeastern United States, but we don't leave anything off the table. 9:05 Eastern time until 11 whenever. Sometimes we go for a while. SDH Network morning show, soccer's morning show, Monday through Friday, plus all the live events we do. It is your place and your source for soccer that is based in the Southeast, but covers everything on the world. SoccerDownHere.net, the Soccer Down Here app, available iOS and Android, through our friends at Spreaker. That's like speaker with an R in the middle. Spreaker, do a search for OSG Sports. Do a search for Soccer Down Here. All the soccer content all in one place. It is the SDH Network and Soccer Down Here. Welcome back to the review here at OSG Sports. Running the anchor leg this week, JT Crabtree, voice of South Alabama. And I kind of buried the lead here a little bit, JT. Mobile native JT Crabtree.
That's right.
Voice of the Jags. And you got to be there front and center. Well, actually, not front and center. You were probably up a little bit in like a confined space at Boone Pickens as the Jags knocked off Oklahoma State 33-7. It looked, just looking at box scores and highlights, it looked like it was a cruise. Was it a cruise for USA?
It was, surprisingly so. We got off to a 3-0 start, and then we force us another 3 and out. We go back out. We score a touchdown. It's 10-0. And who would have thought 10-0 on the road at Oklahoma State would have been enough? Held into 7 points overall, win at 33-7. And it's only our second ever Power 5 victory. The other was 2016 against Mississippi State. And we won that game because Mississippi State missed a field goal at the end. They hit the upright. We won this game at Oklahoma State. It wasn't a fluke. We didn't need to hurdle over a guy to get to the 5-yard line on the last drive. We didn't need someone to doink one off of an upright. We won this football game. Without a doubt, we kept talking. We dominated. We really did. It was a cruise game for us.
Was it, I mean, now that you've had a chance to kind of sit back, I mean, does it blow you away? Or I guess what's the level of emotion here, knowing that USA just went into Stillwater, basically took OSU's lunch money, and since it's Bone Pickens lunch money, that's a lot of money. I mean, you went in there, you dominated 23-0 at the half, and then it was just, I mean, it just, what has been the response been like, and has it sunk in yet on campus that this actually went down the way that it did?
Yeah, it lines up really well that this coming week's going to be homecoming too. And so we're going to have a great home showing already. But I've already seen on social media, folks are flying out of the woodwork saying, hey, how can I buy a ticket? I walked in the office this morning and one of our sponsorship clients called me, hey, man, great win. Can you get me some tickets? And it's, of course, yes. But it's been really exciting. You know, the whole push for the athletic department, not only just football, but has been kind of better planting the flag of South Alabama in Mobile. Because obviously with Alabama and Auburn, we know that we're got some competition in town and whatnot. But we're trying to push to folks, hey, you know, you can say Roll Tide and War Eagle and still say Go Jags at the same time. And so we're trying to do a better job of that. And it's really starting to grab hold this year. And Saturday definitely helped out a lot.
Coming into this season, knowing that the Fun Belt is in fact the Fun Belt and the 75 teams that are in the conference, what were the expectations coming into the year for USA in one of the craziest conferences when it comes to Division I football?
Yeah, we were feeling, honestly, probably for the first time in our program's history, we felt good coming into a season. And we've only played football since 2009. We haven't been around for a very long time. And we returned 18 starters, and they were all bona fide playmakers for us. Returned a couple of guys that had been hurt from last year that were starters the year before. So we're thinking, great, we're in a position. We won 10 games last year. We've got all these guys coming back. Our head coach, both coordinators are back. We can do this. And, you know, come out against Tulane, play a little flat. Didn't look great against Southeastern, and we were tied at the half with them 7-7. And so we're thinking, oh man, maybe the expectations were a little too high. And that we come out at OSU and we did what we've been expecting us to do all year. It kind of lights the fire a little bit again. You know, they were kind of calmed, if you will, but really it seems like I'm still on that emotional high from it, obviously.
Nothing wrong with that, brother.
But hopefully, you know, I keep reminding myself, I've been here since the program started in 2009, and I keep reminding myself, okay, we've notoriously had the hangover game. We beat Mississippi State in 2016, then lost to Georgia Southern the next week. We beat Troy the week after they beat LSU in 17, and then I can't even remember who it was, but then the week after beating Troy, we lose. And so it's how do you avoid that hangover this week with Central Michigan is going to be the big thing for us this week is, okay, you got the big win. You got everybody's attention. You got the win and the check on the road at Stillwater. How do you make sure you get the win after that when you come back home?
Okay, so for those who haven't had the chance to see you in the first 3 games, whether they're dialing you up on whatever their favorite device is, you and I are getting ready for the homecoming game with Central Michigan, and we're sitting there and we're going chip, chip, chip a while we know you're coming. We're in the booth, open rolls, title card over wide, Central Michigan versus University of South Alabama. I toss to you, and it's like, all right, so who are my players that I need to focus on if I haven't seen USA at any point this year in the first 3 games? Who's in the spot shadow for JT Crabtree when it comes to players to watch?
Let's look at 3 guys. How about that? Offensively, Carter Bradley at quarterback, a Toledo transfer 2 years ago. Last year, starts every game. He shatters just about every single passing record in program history. And believe it or not, I know I said we're young, but still in the previous 14 seasons of football, we've never had the same starting quarterback from one season come back for the next. Carter Bradley's the first, and he really makes the offense hum, especially when he's got the second guy to watch, LaDamian Webb at running back. He had just a tremendous game at Oklahoma State, 18 carries, 151 yards. He averaged 8.4 yards a carry, 2 touchdowns as well. He was banged up the first 2 games. He was on a little bit of a pitch count, so to speak, because he was recovering from an off-season surgery. He seems to be back 100% now. And so if he's really going on all cylinders, watch out for him. And then defensively, Yam Banks, he's listed as our Husky. It's really kind of our nickelback guy. We run a 4-2-5 defense. and you'll see him play in the box defensively. You'll see him out wide, cover guys in the slot. You'll see him play up top as a true free safety sometimes as well. Yam Banks really is the heart and soul of our defense. He was a guy who was a nobody, and then Kane Womack comes in a couple of years ago, transforms him into a star, and he really started to take off. And now he's, last year in some respects, he was a All-American. So those are the three guys. If you've never heard of the Jags, I would keep an eye out for the names of Carter Bradley, LaDainian Webb, and Yam Banks.
And Carter and LaDainian, I mean, they had the same amount of output on both sides of the ball. It was close. Yeah. 152 and 151. were they like sharing intel? It's like, okay, dude, I must have 130. Okay, so here's what you gotta do. When it comes to the program in and of itself, those of us of a certain vintage remember when it began, remember Joey Jones, remember all of the inroads that it took to get this thing off the ground, and see how USA has continued to grow. What's it been like for you as an OG to see it continue, grow, and evolve, and have a seminal moment in a program like this?
Yeah, it's exciting because I mentioned I've been here since it started in 2009, and I was a student then. My freshman year of college was the first year of football. So I'm a Mobile native. I'm a South grad. And so I know a part of South's history without football. I grew up going to games at Eddie Stanky Field. I remember going to alumni games and seeing Luis Gonzalez and John Lieber and all the greats come back to campus. And so seeing now not only the program, but campus grow with football has been really exciting. And seeing Mobile take ownership of this team as their hometown team has been really exciting as well. And so I think the win Saturday kind of showed everybody, not only regionally or nationally or whatever, but really the folks in Mobile, look what this team can do. Look what we can do in our own backyard. You don't have to go 4 hours north of Tuscaloosa. You don't have to go 3.5 to Auburn. You can get that kind of football in your own backyard. And I think people are starting to realize that a little bit more. But like you said, as a Mobile native and a South grad, and I've been here since it started, it's really exciting to see us finally fully tap into the potential that we thought we'd had for several years building up.
And you look at everything, and after this homecoming game coming up, I don't want to look ahead, but I'm going to look ahead.
Sure.
You've got that game coming up against JMAD, and that's going to be an early marker for you in the Sun Belt this year. When you look at the conference, for someone who hasn't seen Sun Belt football this year, what are you looking at from the conference on the whole as to contenders to chasing after division crowns?
Yeah, that's a big measuring stick, man. James Madison really came in last year, first year of FBS football, and they hit the ground running. I mean, they didn't seem to be affected by the transition at all last year. And I think that's going to be the case again. I mean, shoot, look what they did to Troy this past weekend. They held them to negative 12 rushing yards. That's pretty darn impressive. I don't care who you're playing. And so I'm curious what that's going to be. It's a measuring stick for us. We've never played James Madison in football. The game has been sold out for several weeks from what we've been told. So it should be a great environment. It's our first conference game. I know JMU actually, obviously they had theirs this weekend. So, I'm excited, man. It's good football. The Sun Belt Conference has defeated a Power 5 opponent in each of the first 3 weeks of the football season so far this year. So I'm excited to see it continue. I haven't looked at what the full week 5 slate is, but I imagine that the South JMU game is going to be pretty darn good of a matchup overall that week.
All right. So since you've teased it, I'm going to go ahead and look. So let's go. Since you said week 5. All right. So let's go to week 5. Let's go to the schedule, and let's go to conference schedules, and we'll go to Fun Belt.
All right.
See what we've got here. Okay. So Troy at Georgia State, USA at JMAD, ODU at Marshall, App State at Monroe, Texas State at Southern Miss. That's sneaky good. Louisiana at Minnesota. That's a window for Louisiana.
Yes.
Ark State and UMass, and Coastal at Georgia Southern. So there's some Palace intrigue in week number 5.
Okay. I like it. The Sun Belt Conference has been really exciting the last couple of years, because before you had, 2 or 3 teams that were, okay, you're going to get to your bowl game. You're going to make a little bit of noise here or there. But now you've got teams legitimately winning big time games week in and week out, and teams pushing to be in the top 25 week in and week out, which is really exciting. So I'm pumped for what the conference has in store moving forward.
We traditionally are here at OSG Sports as well. At JT Crabtree, if I could get my upper plate to work, at JT Crabtree USA. That's because he's JT Crabtree and he went to USA, University
That's right.
of Alabama. That's where he is on the 280 character app. And by the way, if you do not follow him, please do. And then what you can also do is you can catch booth cam from the time in Stillwater and some of the audio from the 33-7 win for USA and Oak State. JT, I know that your dossier is full and your dance card is very, very busy. Thanks for coming on with us and running the anchor leg this week. Big win for USA, not just in Oak State, but for the program as well. Thanks for hanging out with us, my friend.
I appreciate you having me on, man. It's always fun to talk the good gospel of Jags football. So appreciate you having me on, man.
That's the anchor leg. When we come back, we're going to preview the week coming up and then football on a budget. Would you go to a game with a get-in price of $10 or below? We'll give you that list coming up. The review continues after this. Welcome back, home stretch here on the review, the OSG Sports Network, where this week it is me in Atlanta and Marty at OSG Southwest in the Metroplex of Dallas, Texas, discussing everything going on. Thanks, as always, for folks that get to run the anchor leg with us, and it's really cool to catch up and find out what it's like to go into Stillwater and just knock the pants off of them. Thanks to JT Crabtree and our friends at South Alabama for the big win. And for letting us know what the
I wonder how many flat spots are on heads there from people taking those 2x4s. They usually smack the side of the stands with and just smacking their head into them. I'm gonna look around when I edit this and see if I got anybody doing a dope.
Exactly. C block is reserved for preview and college football on a budget. And what we mean by that is, yes, we're going to look at some of the big games and what to stare at. We'll also mention get-in prices for that. But as a bit of a comparison study, there are games that are out there, thanks to our friends in the secondary ticket markets, and they let us know, and we've set our limit at double digits. So basically $9 or lower for a get-in price. If you should feel so motivated, if you do not have a team that is doing anything, or if you want to really do a double header or something or whatever, college football on a budget. $9 get-in price or less. There are some games that are this way. And so Marty has a way to let us know if he would go to that particular game and if he would spend the price of a soda on a college football game. And he has resurrected whom this week, sir?
That would be the Ohio State Buckeyes and Coach Jim Tressel.
In a cup that probably at the time cost a good $7 or $8 with its
You bet. It was an alumni band game, which means you get a 4-way script Ohio, and we had a gentleman over the age of 95 twirling a baton.
And so Marty has kept that cup, and that is our symbol for whether or not he, Big Marty, would go to this game with a get-in price of $9 or less. All right, so the week that will be. Top 25s, Michigan and Rutgers, don't care. Florida State, Clemson, number 4 right now, and after the game at BC. Right now, they're a 1.5 favorite. Total's 55. Get-in price in Death Valley is $103.
The other Death Valley, the lesser Death Valley. Dare I say Dead Valley, because they're not heading in the right direction.
They're moribund, sir, yes. Right now, it's scheduled to be somewhat rainy in 71. FSU's a 1.5 favorite, which basically means Clemson should win by 2. Your total's 55. I would agree with that. I think Clemson gets the Duke. Yes, I just went against and was just like behind our. Who is talking behind our backs? Is it another promo? Is someone trying to sell you something?
I believe that is the 4-letter popping ads when you don't want them.
Exactly. So Florida State and Clemson, that's the first one. Get in price at $103. I got to go with Clemson with FSU on the road. That's me.
I think our friends at Ohio State broke Daba, so I just see them continuing the downward trend.
A couple of other top 25ers we mentioned in the A block about Colorado. Their first test is at Oregon, at Autzen Stadium. Get in price $159. Oregon, a 3-touchdown favorite. Your total 71. I don't know if they get to 71. It wouldn't surprise me if Oregon won by more than 21 because they're trying to push
I would
back.
love to see that.
trying to push Bo Nix as a Heisman Trophy candidate. So battle of 3-0s, and I think that Colorado gets reminded, especially without Travis Hunter,
Back to earth.
depth of what's going on this week and next time out against USC. UCLA and Utah. This one's kind of sneaky. Get in price at $75 at Rice Eccles. Utah 4.5-point favorite. Totals 51.5. Still don't know what the status of Cam Rising is for Utah, but I'm going to go with Utah in a close one there at Rice Eccles in Salt Lake City.
Yeah, I like Utah. They ever since I saw them in the Rose Bowl, just in an offensive just shootout with Ohio State, that's a secondary team for me. I kind of pull for them.
Ole Miss and Alabama is your 3:30 on CBS in their last season of having the Southeastern Conference, because it just means more, and so that means that.
When was the last time you had an undefeated Ole Miss going against Bama at 2-1?
Well, and Bama right now, get in price is $63. Alabama 7-point favorite. Your total 55. I don't know if they get to 55. I'm going to take the points in this one. I'll take the points in Ole Miss. And why is it I'm reminded of Lane Kiffin that he looks like he just stepped out of a John Grisham novel?
I think you were correct on that. I know we're supposed to disagree and yell and argue and stuff. I'll leave that for a different podcast.
Arkansas and LSU, there's your Death Valley game. Get in price is $62. LSU's an 18-point favorite, 55.5 your total. I think that one can get out of hand.
Yeah, LSU is just going to roll. Those people are going to be tailgating starting probably Thursday afternoon.
Interesting one out of the Tupac. Oregon State ranked 14th. Washington State ranked 21st. Battle of 3-0s. This is on Big FOX. Get in price of only $39 in the Palouse. Oregon State's at 2.5 and 56. I think Oregon State gets it done. It's going to be a tight one, but it wouldn't surprise me if it flipped the other way. The two remaining members of the Pac-12 that basically told everybody else in class, get back right here this second.
Okay, I'd definitely take that for $39 for that ticket. I just want to see who's going to do the coin toss. I'd really love it to see. I really love to see the judge that did the injunction come out there and do the coin toss. That would be epic.
That'd be cool. TOSU goes to South Bend. You're a 3.5-point favorite. Your total 54. Get in price $454.
Woo! This is where we're going to tell where Ohio State really sits. You got 3 new linemen across the front, both tackles in the center. The previous guys that occupied those positions, 2 of them are starting in the NFL, and the other one's a quality backup. We're finally going to see what Ohio State's really made of. And this is coming from an Ohio State fan, the homer of the podcast, if you will. I think Ohio State squeaks it out. I think you're going to see something different on defense. They've been playing pretty vanilla. They haven't really been getting home off the edge, but I think you're going to see a little bit more exotic looks from the defense.
54 total. I don't know if you get there, but I think Ohio State does get it done. The other double top 25, Penn State and Iowa, as the Brian Ferentz to 325 march continues. I don't think that he's going to get to 24 points to keep his season average. Penn State 14.5, your total 41.5. Get in price in University Park in Happy Valley, $209.
Wow. Is that how many points Ferentz needs to get his 325-point total?
Average 24 for the rest of the season to get to 325.
Now he's ahead of pace, and they had 41 this past week. Penn State's going to lock him down.
I think so too. It's going to be a tough one, and it's going to put that average a little higher than 24. All right. Now we're going to kind of hybrid our way through the rest of the schedule. It's going to be football on a budget and intriguing games that are outside of the top 25. First one's actually Thursday night, and it's football on a budget. Georgia State at 3-0 goes to Coastal Carolina 2-1. Coastal's a 7-point favorite, total 63. The get-in price at Brooks Stadium in Conway, South Carolina is $8. What say you? Does this get the cup raised, or are you shaking your head?
South Carolina is a beautiful place to visit.
And you go to Myrtle at that point, you just sit there and skip it and go, and you're all good.
Beach before, beach after.
Yes. All right. So once again, remember our guideposts here. Football on a budget is less than $10. And so we've had some movement on some games that we are kind of keeping an eye on earlier in the week. And so they've raised from, that 9-10, they're in double digits, so we can't talk about them. Florida Atlantic and Illinois, 3:30 on B1G. Tickets as low as $5. Illinois is a 14-point favorite, and your total 48. 75 degrees and rainy anticipated in Champaign. That's a thumbs down for me at $5.
Yeah, that's a hard thumbs down. I wouldn't even show up if they gave me champagne in Champaign.
Exactly. 3:30 on the ACC network, BC at Louisville. It is on our ceiling. Louisville's a 14-point favorite and 55, tickets as low as $9 to get into Cardinal Stadium.
I'm taking that one. And then after the game, I'm going to the Louisville Slugger plant and getting a bat made.
There you go. See now you're playing this out as adventures in addition to football on a budget. 4:00, ESPNU, Rice in South Florida. To get into the pirate ship in Tampa, it is $4. Rice, 2.5-point favorite, 55.5.
I'm buying that soda.
Okay, you buy that soda, $4, no doubt.
As long as they fire off the cannons once or twice, I'm in.
Fire the cannons. That's my Gene Deckerhoff impression. Gene Deckerhoff, one of my role models, one of my mentors when I was in school. Fire the cannons, touchdown, Tampa Bay. Yeah, that kind of stuff. As I continue to scan, Florida gets to rebound their match with the game with Tennessee. First time, I think, in 7 years that the Big Three have been in the top 25 together. So Florida gets Charlotte. That does not qualify. But Sam Houston at Houston does. At TDECU, 91 ducks at kickoff at 7 o'clock. 91 degrees at kickoff at 7 o'clock Eastern time. Sam Houston, the Bearcats with a K are 0-2. Houston, talking about the Cougars, get-in price at TDECU is $4. Houston's 12.5 and 38.5.
Do we know if they're wearing the Oilers homage jerseys? If they rock those jerseys, I'm buying. If they're not, it's not worth it.
There you go.
I won't even watch that on ESPN Plus.
Speaking of not worth it, Arizona and Stanford, after the loss to Sacramento State, that's another home game. Arizona comes into town at 2-1 as a 12.5-point favorite and 58.5, tickets as low at Stanford Stadium, $5. Nichols and Tulane also at 7 o'clock on the plus at Yulman Stadium in New Orleans. No line posted. Get in price $3.
Buying 2 of those sodas. Actually, I'm buying 3 seats because I'm a large person and I don't want anybody on either side of me.
Well, and at the same time, since you're into excursions, once the game's over at Yulman, you can go into the French Quarter. You can
tailgate top notch in that area. The people, if you get a chance to go to a game in Louisiana, and I'm talking any level, the smaller schools all the way up to LSU, the people are awesome. The tailgate atmosphere is awesome. And then the people in the stands are just great.
3 ticket, $10, and then go to the French Quarter. That's how.
Yeah, I'm buying extra seats next to me just to have extra room.
Minnesota Northwestern, don't care. $9
Nope.
field, don't care, not interested, no chance whatsoever. Mississippi State, South Carolina. Keep an eye on this one in the SEC. South Carolina is a 6-point favorite. It is outside of our purview when it comes to football on a budget, but it's a game to watch. North Carolina gets to continue to beat up on folks. They've got Pitt. That is also a UCF and Kansas State. Sneaky good game at Bill Snyder. Case the 6.5-point favorite as UCF is on the road. Let's see. UNLV and UTEP at the Sun Bowl. $9, 85 degrees at kickoff, 9 o'clock Eastern. MLV's 2.5 and 50.5. The Miners have broken out the old unis. That is worth the price of admission. Just ask our buddy Duke Keep.
It's worth it to go to there for the food, but just watch where you go throughout the rest of the town.
And then the Juice Box Purveyor's Delight to wrap things up. It is outside of our purview when it comes to football on a budget.
Unless you win juice boxes.
Yes. New Mexico State and Hawaii, 11:59 Eastern kick at TC Ching Athletics Complex. Hawaii's at 2.5, 58.5 is your total. 81 degrees at kickoff. Tickets as low as
road trip.
$18 to get in the door. We're going to make an exception.
Well, adjusted for the way tourism is out there, that might actually qualify as a cheaper than a soda game.
So that is part of what we stare at when it comes to football on a budget. We do not mean to neglect our friends on the 1AA, D2, D3, NAIA divisions at all, as Marty is showing you the red Y. Support your local teams. Go to a place you've never been before. See the pageantry from other places. But football on a budget, D1, It has those elements in it. Go support your local teams regardless of division. Last thoughts before we go.
I'm just looking at this Ohio State Notre Dame game. That's going to be the one that really tells you what's happening for the season. And 1A to that one is I want to see what Colorado does. If they do take the loss, kind of like we expect, I want to see how they react to it, because that's going to tell you what those players really are and what that coach really is. Is the character going to shine, or is the coach going to shine? I pull for the coach.
Happens. And so for everybody here at OSG, for Wilkie, for J-Dub, for Phil, he's Marty. He's in Dallas. I'm John. I'm in Atlanta. Thanks to JT Crabtree once again in Mobile. Big win for South Alabama, going into Stillwater and knocking off Oklahoma State. Thanks to JT for giving us the perspective there. Follow us on all of our platforms, and don't forget to download apps. Go to Spreaker. That's like speaker with an R in the middle. Do a search, OSG Sports. That's where this exists, and all of our social media channels as well.
Also on Spotify.
Because Marty came up with a new graphics package, and we are prettier than we have been quite some time when it comes to stuff. So we're out the door. For everybody here, for Big Marty, I'm just John. Play it safe, everybody. Enjoy the games in college football. We'll catch up with you next week.
Please like and subscribe, and visit onlinesportsguys.com.